Hi, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited because we are starting our magical readathon vlog. We are currently 9 days into the month and I have not started reading for this readathon. I literally just finished filming a book haul and the new releases vlog that will be up before this one. So I had just a couple things to do before starting this vlog. I am going on a trip though. I don't know how much I'll get to read on this trip. I will be gone for about a week and maybe an extra day. I'm going to Austin to visit a friend, go to a concert. He will probably pick up some shifts while I'm there, so maybe I'll get some time to read, but we are probably going to be hanging out a little bit. We'll see. Again, hopefully I get some reading done in this next week. I did film a TBR for literally my April TBR was just my magical readathon TBR. I don't know if I wrote down on my laptop what I will be reading. I don't think I did. I think I wrote it in my journal, but let me go get the books that I'm reading. This is what I was planning to read for the readathon. It's a pretty big chunky stack. Girl, don't piss me off, bitch. Okay, this is the stack. It's pretty big. Like I said, you can go watch that April TBR. I am missing one book and we'll get to that later, but I have The Babysitter Lives by Stephen Graham Jones. This is for a house on the cover. I think the challenge was for demonology. Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. I believe the challenge was for lore. This I believe is more, I'm hoping that this is technically dystopian. And then I forgot which class this was, but I have Children of Time. Read a book with time in the title by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I believe this was astronomy, to read a book off the top shelf or off your TBR, and I have my nonfiction like up here. So I have the Bluestockings, A History of the First Women's Movement by Susannah Gibson. This would be my nonfiction of the month. And then I also have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This was for the challenge where social media influences you to read a book, and I just scrolled until I saw a book that I was interested in reading and I already owned. And so I picked up this one, Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. I believe this was for the challenge where I looked at someone's last 5-star reads and I picked one from that list, and I went on the Discord for the magical readathon and I picked up this one. And I am missing one book, and that is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany G. Jackson. That is for the challenge where you have to read a book with the day of the week in the title. So that's the TBR for this vlog. I did a quick rundown because I already talked about this in another video, but that is what I'm reading for this vlog, hopefully for this month. I do not want to not finish these challenges. I'm very excited to participate in this round of the magical readathon. I have not been participating for the past few years, honestly. I think I'm going to start with Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This book is about a young girl named Monday who disappears, and the only person who seems to care about Monday's disappearance is her best friend, and she's trying to find out what happened to her. I think this is really going to touch on this phenomenon where like the media and the public don't really seem to care when children of color, or specifically in this case Black children, go missing. They're kind of thought of as maybe they went out to party, went out with a boyfriend, they're out committing whatever. And yeah, I borrowed this from the library, so I have to read this before it gets returned. I'm sure it's probably on a wait list. It's a very popular book, so I want to get to this as soon as possible, but it is Thursday and I'm leaving on Saturday morning, like 6 in the morning. So we'll see what I can do. Tomorrow I will be going shopping to pick up some things that I need for my trip. I will also be editing the book haul that I just filmed. So I have a lot of stuff to do. I don't know how much I'll actually get through in this book in these next few days, but I'll see what I can do. On the to-do list, edit the book haul, edit the vlog that's going to go up before this one, the new releases vlog where I read a bunch of new releases, and then I personally have to like pack and get ready for this trip. So we'll see what I get done, but I will come back when I have more updates. I know this is like a very rushed intro to the vlog. I'm so sorry, but I have so much stuff to do. But thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this vlog and I hope you have a happy magical readathon. I'll be back. So let's do a reading update. It's been a while. It's currently Monday the 13th, so it's been a few days since I've checked in. I am currently in Austin. It was a lot of movement, and this is kind of like the first day that I've had to kind of have a place to myself. Like I said, I'm crashing at my best friend's place for a minute. Like this is like the bed I'm sleeping in. He picked up a shift, so I have like 7 hours to myself, so I'm gonna be reading. That being said, I did have some little pockets of time to read, like while he was showering and eating and whatever, and I did actually already finish a book. I did finish Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Sorry there were like no mid check-in updates. I didn't really have time to, but I finished reading that on my Kobo yesterday morning and I cried. I was a baby. Like the last hour of me reading, I was just like anyways, so let me talk about this book. So Monday's Not Coming, I don't have to hold this. Monday's Not Coming is about a young girl named Claudia who's best friend, and most of her entire social life revolves around a character named Monday. They are so close. Monday just hangs out at her house all the time. Monday is thought of as a daughter by Claudia's parents. They're very close. And one day when Claudia comes back to her city, they live in DC. When Claudia comes back to DC after visiting her grandmother for the summer, Monday's not there. She's not anywhere for months, and Claudia's asking like, does anyone know where Monday is? And no one really seems to care, or if they do care, they'll be like, well, I'll call her mom and see what's up. And there's like some kind of shitty excuse like, oh, she's sick or whatever. And Monday's like, no, like I feel like there's something a bit more serious going on. And that's like the whole like tone of the book, and it could have been like super repetitive and redundant, but there was a little bit of movement. There was like pushing us forward. The entire time I was like, why don't people care more? And that's kind of like the point, is like this whole book is about how some children, specifically Black children, kind of fall through the cracks of the system, of the community, whatever you want to call it. Very, very sad and very, very triggering. So like check your content warnings. I was kind of hesitant to pick this up because I've read Tiffany D. Jackson's like latest work. I haven't loved it, but this one is like definitively like her best work that I've read anyway. This was just so like real. I don't really pick up a lot of contemporary stuff, contemporary YA stuff, unless it's like super hard hitting, which this was. I should have known like this would have been like right up my alley. Obviously the story is about how Monday's missing, but a big part of the story is also how Claudia has to kind of grow up or kind of learn to be herself while she's missing her other half, while she's missing Monday. And I think I use this word loosely, like in like kind of metaphorical sense, but like it's a very like it's beautiful to see someone kind of like come into their own, obviously not in this situation, but like learning to be yourself, growing, meeting new people, which is something that she kind of like prevented herself from because she thought all she really needed was Monday. And not to say that that's like a bad thing to only really need one like best friend forever, but she really kind of prevented herself from like meeting new people, interacting with new people, being part of other communities and stuff like that. And the disappearance of Monday really like pushed her out into the world. Obviously, hopefully you never want it to happen because of this circumstance, but seeing that growth, I love character growth. So I appreciated that. It's like I said, I spent like the 3 hours yesterday morning just reading this book. Very sad, but very good. I don't know what rating to give it, but because I don't have like any major flaws, and it did have like an emotional like reaction, like I cried a lot. Mind you, I'm kind of a baby, but I did cry a lot. So I'm kind of leaning 4.5. We'll see if it goes higher. I don't see it going any lower because this was like, for me, I didn't really find any like major flaws. But yeah, that is one book down for the Magical Readathon. 6 more to go. I did already start on another book, and I picked up Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. This is for the challenge where I have to read a book that is on someone's like 5-star recommended, and I think I picked it off the Discord for the Magical Readathon. I am only 35 pages in, and it is a very like small font, so we'll see how long this takes. But like I said, my best friend just picked up a shift, so he's gone for like 6 hours. So hopefully I can get through a good chunk of this in between watching episodes of like, I don't know, America's Next Top Model or something. Sorry it's come like at such a sporadic time. Maybe I'll put in some like Austin footage. We haven't really done anything super fancy. We just like kind of went shopping, but I'm hoping to go to like bookstores or thrift stores later on this week. I will be back, hopefully with an update with this, like a mid check-in, maybe a mid check-in or like an early check-in to kind of get the vibe of this. But yeah, I'll be back. Peace. I think the last time I talked to you, I was talking about Gideon the Ninth, and it was, I think, the second day in Austin. Now it's Saturday, and it is my last full day here in Austin. So tomorrow morning I'm waking up and I'm going back home. I haven't done a lot of updates, not a lot of like b-roll. I just haven't really felt like filming Austin all that often. I'm here on vacation with a friend, didn't want him in the video for, you know, his privacy and stuff like that. So I haven't really filmed much. I do have a few pictures I can throw up of me, some other stuff. I went to the concert that I was originally here for and it was super fun. It let out last night at around like 10:30-ish. And so we got back to his place at around 11 something. There's a lot of traffic in the center of Austin. So got in, ate food, crashed, and it's currently 10:12 and I've been away for a little bit. I took a shower. I did go book shopping, so I will update you on that when I'm back at my place. Bought a lot of stuff. I don't know if anyone's interested in seeing like the things that I bought, but might as well. I went clothes shopping, bought a lot of stuff. I just thought I'd say that I haven't continued with Gideon yet. I've just been busy with like concert stuff, traveling around Austin, going to bookstores and stuff, but maybe I'll get some reading in right now and finish reading that, because I'll have probably like 10 days to finish my TBR for the Magical Readathon, and I've only finished one book, which is not good. But maybe I'll do like a 24-hour readathon within this vlog to make up for lost time. But I'm very keen to like hit the ground running once I get back to my place. I love being on vacation with my friend and everything, but I miss structure and I miss schedule. Schedules are very important to me. And like I haven't even been working out, which I do every single day for the most part. It's been a while. I just want to say, hey, I'm alive. But yeah, the next clip you'll see me, hopefully I'll be back at my place. If not, maybe I'll finish Gideon and quickly update here, but we'll see. Let's do an update. It's been a while. I am back home. Not a lot of Austin footage in this vlog, sorry about that, but I'm probably gonna have a lot of footage talking about the other books that I have to read for this Magical Readathon vlog. So I do have a book haul that I can do for you guys. I just uploaded my book haul of January, February, and March, so this will be a teaser for the next quarter book haul. I went to a couple bookstores in Austin. I went to a Barnes and a Half Price Books, but I did go to Book People, which is really popular. I went to First Light Books, which was really charming, and then my favorite bookstore was Alienated Majesty Books, which was actually more like indie translated stuff, not major publishers featured there, which I love. I don't really get to go to bookstores like that. So yeah, let me show you what I got. Kind of just mixed up. There is no anti-memetics division. This one is kind of like horror sci-fi. I'm so sorry, this dog is so loud. There's no anti-memetics division. This is kind of like SCP Foundation vibes to me. I believe in this book we follow, or I believe this book is about these beings called anti-memes or anti-memetics, and they alter reality and memory. It's supposed to be kind of sci-fi horror. Daughter of Blood by Anne Bishop. I had heard that a lot of Sarah J Maas's work, specifically in ACOTAR, feels a little referential to the series, and I tried reading ACOTAR and I got kind of bored and DNF'd it, so maybe this will be more interesting. And I have read Anne Bishop before and I have liked her work. We're gonna speed through this, honestly. Shoot Me in the Face on a Beautiful Day. I got this one from Alienated Majesty. This is by Emma E. Murray. This kind of feels like maybe like more intense, like splatterpunk, maybe, I'm not sure. But in this one we follow a woman who child passes away and she's dealing with that, and then she's also in the middle of a domestic violence type of situation, and there's also a serial killer hunting women down. We'll see how that all comes together. Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. I've been really interested in this because I am really looking into like the crossover of like horror and eroticism. This is about a scientist who finds some sort of specimen. I don't know if it's like a fungus or some sort of virus or something, and it wants a host and it wants to spread itself after it finds a host, and things happen. I've heard good things about that one. Long Live Evil. This is a kind of isekai style fantasy where our main character is very sick. Maybe she has cancer or something, I'm not sure, and she makes a magical bargain to go into her favorite fantasy world, and she's actually the villain of this fantasy world now. Sounds really fun. Sounds very silly and campy. Love that. Caliban's War, which is the second book in the Expanse series. The first was the Leviathan Wakes. I really like that one. Read it a few years ago, but I still kind of have a majority of like my memory of reading that book, so I don't think I need to reread book one, thank God, because these are huge. There's a lot of moving parts in the series. I can't really give you a good description, just know it's like a big space soap opera, space opera, and a lot of stuff happens, weird stuff happens. Shadow and Claw, the first half of the Book of the New Sun by Jean Wolfe. This series, people really like it, but I've heard some criticism specifically about how women are presented in this book. I don't know if it's like bad within the context of the book or what have you. I will make my own decisions, obviously, when I read it, but a lot of people really like the series, and I think it's about a young man who is the apprentice or an apprentice in a guild of torturers, but he shows someone mercy, and that's all I really know. Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee. I've heard about this book, the series, for quite some time. I've tried to read it, or I borrow it from my library a ton, and I just like never get to it. And I believe we follow a captain, a disgraced captain, who is given the opportunity to redeem herself and by taking back this giant fortress that has been under siege by some heretics. And the best way to do this is to use the downloaded consciousness of some tactician who went crazy and like killed a bunch of people, including his own army. The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I believe we follow a group of people who are under siege in like a church or something, and the saints come to them one day to offer reprieve, and it gets weird and crazy. And then the last book of my little Austen trip is The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. This, I believe we follow a man who's maybe like a beast hunter, a monster hunter, and he's hunting this beast of Gavuzon, something like that. I don't speak French. And the beast is a man, and I think it's queer as well. So that's my quick little book haul. You will see these in another actual formal book haul in the next quarter, but I just thought to show them to you now. Reading updates. Oh, I'm still in the middle of Gideon the Ninth, and I will get to that soon. I will probably finish today. I just been so distracted, and yesterday was not a good day, but I'm back here. I'm home. I'm ready to read. I have about 9 days to finish 5 books. It is possible, but I am not the fastest reader, so we'll see how much I can get through. I would be very sad if I didn't finish my TBR for the Magical Readathon, but it is what it is. So yeah, that is the update. I will come back with some other fun Austen stuff, but I didn't want to do too much in one clip. I will be back when I finish Gideon the Ninth. So I'm just popping in to say that I finished Gideon the Ninth, and I really enjoyed it. I really need to know what's gonna happen in the next one regarding Gideon and Harrow. I have thoughts that need to be put together, but I just thought I'd stop in and say that I finished Gideon and I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of tired, as you can tell, but I'll see if I can get in some of the nonfiction I'm supposed to be reading. So that's 2 books down, 5 more to go. I don't know if I'm going to complete this, honestly. I might have to do a 24-hour readathon, like I said earlier in one of the last clips, but I will come back with my thoughts with Gideon, and then I'll film a haul of non-bookish things that I got in Austen. I told myself, finish this book and then you can do another haul for the video. So peace. Okay, it's the next morning. Let's do my like full thoughts on Gideon the Ninth, because I don't think I talked about this book really at all in any detail. I thought I did in a previous clip, but I don't think I did after all. So Gideon the Ninth. This book is almost always described as like lesbian necromancers in space, which is not technically incorrect. Like there is a lesbian, or there's lesbians, period, multiple, and they are necromancers and they are in space, but there's so much more to that. And I feel like a big part of why I hadn't picked this up is because I didn't really have a good grasp of what this was about, so I didn't really know if I was ever really in the mood for this. The only reason I had picked it up was because people really liked it, and I do like the concept of lesbian necromancers in space. However, in this book, we follow a character named Gideon Nav, who is a serf to the 9th house. This book is supposed to, I think, take place like far off into the future, like 9,000, 10,000 years, because there are the 9 houses that were brought up after like a mass destruction event, and the Necrolord, this emperor, is the one who brought life back to the 9 houses, which I think are the 9 planets. And like I said, Gideon is a serf for the 9th planet, the Locked Tomb. And at the beginning of the book, she is trying to escape and like have some freedom. I think she's going to like the 5th planet or the 7th planet, whatever, it doesn't matter. But she's trying to escape. It doesn't go well at all. And this is like her like 100th attempt at trying to escape, but she fails. However, the Reverend daughter, which is the heir to the 9th house, like she's to be their next leader, propositions Gideon as like, hey, I'm gonna go to the 1st house because the emperor is calling all the heirs of the planets or the houses, and I need to bring a cavalier. And there's no cavaliers, which are essentially like the head swordsman, like the head protector of the necromancer heirs. Gideon is not a necromancer. I have to point that out. Gideon is not the necromancer in the book. I mean, there's a ton in the book, but the necromancer that we're mostly focused on is Harrowhark Nona Gessimus, or Harrow. And so Harrow's like, yeah, you're gonna come with me, you're gonna be my guardian. And Gideon's like, no, I don't want to do that. But she can't really, I mean, she's a serf, she has to do what's told of her. And so they go to the 1st planet or the 1st house, and there are basically a ton of challenges. And what we don't really know what these challenges are for, at least at the beginning. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, they get really intense. I'm not usually like a challenge person. Like I don't love challenges, like competitions in books, but I really like the way that it was done here. Another reason why I picked this up sooner rather than later is because I had heard that there's a little bit of a murder mystery, which there is, and if I had known that, I would have picked it up sooner because I love murder mysteries. Some people get murdered, so that is also something that is like a wrench thrown into the story. But I really enjoyed this. This is so my type of book. It's like kind of gothic and edgy, and the characters are also like really witty. I don't normally say this because I'm not like 18 anymore, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I don't have like book boyfriends or crushes like I used to. Some of the characters in books tend to be fairly younger, and I'm close to my 30s, so I don't have book boyfriends. But I love Gideon. Like she made me like giggle, she made me like twirl my hair and kick my feet. She low-key my type, but she also kind of reminds me of me, so maybe I am my type. Anyways, Gideon is so witty. Harrow, the character that she's supposed to be protecting, they have such great banter, and they go back and forth, and it's not even like light banter, it's just like I fucking hate your guts type banter, which I really enjoy seeing. Like I wouldn't say that they're enemies, though I guess at the beginning you can say that they're enemies because Gideon is her server, her servant. She's supposed to do everything that's told of her, so I guess they are kind of on opposing sides, but at some point they do have commonality goals that they have to reach together, so it becomes reluctant allies at some point. Really enjoyed it. So fun. I love the character, like the artwork that I've been seeing from like fan art. I think I'm leaning on a 4.5 with this one. I can see why some people might not like this, and the writing is the one that almost always comes up. I can totally understand why, and even I might have disliked it, but the way that the author delivers the story with their writing is it's so good. But the thing about the story is that it does take place 9,000, 10,000 years in the future, and they still use fairly like modern things like pencils, pens, toothbrushes and stuff, so it might feel kind of out of place based on your like what you think the conventions are of sci-fi kind of fantasy. This reads more sci-fi, but it does feel fantastical at times, so it just kind of feel like you're using toothbrushes and like toothpaste and pencils and stuff, and it's like 9,000, 10,000 years into the future. Okay, Gideon also like says like a that's what she said type joke, you know, like that's what she said, like very like modern humor, and I think that might throw people off. It would throw me off, but like I said, I still really enjoyed it despite the fact. I don't know why I'm not giving it 5 stars. It was really fun. I had such a good time. Maybe I'll just bump it up to 5 stars because I really enjoyed my experience with this. I do definitely need to do a reread already because there were some parts of the book where I was like, wait, what's going on? But like not in a bad way, just I wasn't keeping up. But I still really enjoyed this, so yeah, I liked it. 2 books down. I need to read 5 more, and I did start on my next read, which was the nonfiction. Let me go get it. I did start on the Bluestockings, A History of the First Women's Movement by Susannah Gibson. I'm only like 16 pages into this. I am liking what I'm reading, I suppose. I don't know how I would dislike it, but like I said before, or if I didn't, this book is about one particular salon that kind of sprouted in England, and it was kind of similar in style to the French salons during like the French Revolution. And so I haven't gone too far, like I've said, and we've mostly been talking about what women were expected to do and how they were expected to behave during this time period. And we've also started to see like the development of this one particular English salon and the woman who started it. One thing that the author did want to emphasize, which I think is important to mention, is that the French salons were places that could be a little freaky. Like there's alcohol, there's a little bit of gambling, people can like get a little, you know, have a little one-on-one time. And because this was something that was very serious to this founder of the English salon, I think her name is Elizabeth Montague, I forgot her name, but she wanted to establish her English salon, but she was like, no gambling, no drinking, no fornicating. Like this is serious to the girls, so it should be serious to you. There's more emphasis on women speaking, women participating. So that the author really wanted to make that difference between the French salons and this one particular English one. We'll see what more I get from this. I mentioned in my TBR that I was already kind of familiar with this concept because of the French salons. But we'll see, because it's about 280-ish pages, and I think I already have like a good gist of what this book is about, and I'm only 16 pages in, so we'll see what else I get from this. But I'll be reading a few of the pages in this book, and then diving into my next read, which I think I'm in the mood for. I think I'm in the mood for The Babysitter Lives, which is to read a book with a house on the cover. I don't know if I'll actually continue on and read The Killer on the Road, which is the other story in this book, but for sure I will read this one in between picking up sections of this book. So I'm starting on 2 books, and hopefully I finish them soon. I promise you I will finish all these books before the end of the month. Promise a haul of things that I got in Austin that weren't bookish related. Let me go get all of them because it was a lot of stuff. Okay, so if you're not interested in like non-bookish things, feel free to like scroll on, but this is everything that I got on my trip to Austin that was not bookish related. We'll start with like concert stuff, because if you didn't see, I went to a concert for Twice. Twice is a K-pop group from Korea. They're fairly popular for Korea. They're not super well known compared to other groups like BTS or like Blackpink, but 3 of their members were on the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack, so I do think that kind of like boosted their popularity if you've heard of them before. Anyways, this was like the VIP package. It's just like a bunch of like little knickknacks, posters and stuff, but that's not super important. I did go to like a pop-up where they had a bunch of their merch, and I picked up a lot of stuff, and it was pretty expensive. This is a zip-up hoodie that I got. This is the back, which has their photos, and then the sleeves have the members' names on them, and the front just says Twice. If I could show it to you, I'm really bad at showing clothes, oh my god. And the front just says Twice. It's a zip up, oversized like that. This is the cap that I got. It says This Is For, which is the name of the tour. Just a bunch of stuff, logos. I did pick up a tumbler because I actually don't have a lot of these little plastic tumblers. I think a lot of people get these in like bookish stuff. I don't, so got it. It says This Is For. Also picked up a oversized like pullover sweater. I have a couple of these, but I definitely do need to clean out my closet and like throw out the ones or donate the ones that I don't wear anymore. It says This Is For on the back. Again, the name of the tour and all the tour dates and all the members' names on the sleeve. I did pick up 2 or 3 tops. This is a crop top. They didn't have it in medium, so I picked up one in large, and I guess I'll just like crop it, and it just says This Is For, and some detail stuff on the back, the members' names and their North America stops. And then I picked up an oversized tee. This is the back, and this is the front. Again, the members' names, and it says Twice in the front. And that's all the concert stuff I got. Very pricey. I did not know how expensive concert stuff has been getting. Like that, you don't want to know how much that cost. My friends were looking for shoes, and we went to a Journeys, and this one of the women that were working there was so helpful, and she brought out a ton of shoes. We didn't end up buying anything, but I felt bad. She brought out like 8 pairs of shoes, so I ended up just buying some socks. Went to Victoria's Secret. Let me tell you what happened at Victoria's Secret. If you're unfamiliar with the store, it sells lingerie and stuff, but every now and then there's a sale where if you spend like $120, you'll get like a big giant free tote. This is the tote. So you might be thinking, oh, you spent $120 at a lingerie store. No, I didn't, because I think that cashier was flirting with me. She seemed very overwhelmed, and she was a bit younger. And I was just kind of like cool, calm, and collected. But she's like, I think you deserve the tote because I don't want anyone else to have it. Or I don't know. I thought she was flirting with me, but I'm also really bad at picking up signs. So I got a giant tote from Victoria's Secret, and it came with a makeup bag. But I picked up one of their like spring bra things, and I saw that they had really pretty wraps like for modesty at the beach. And this is the front. It kind of rouges in the middle, and then the back has a little Victoria's Secret pendant thing. I can't see. Is it, can you tell? There. Anyways, but it's just like a long modesty to cover your bottom half. I did go buy some jeans because I really wanted some like relaxed fit jeans, and I ended up getting 2 pairs of pants. I got these from PacSun. They are the, I think it was called the Casey Low Rise Baggy. Found out I'm a 27. If you're not familiar or you don't know, I've started losing weight and I've lost like 60 to 65 pounds. So a lot of my clothes don't fit, and I'm only really wearing 1 pair of jeans. So I definitely needed another pair of pants. So I got these. They're kind of like, they're supposed to be baggy, but I kind of pull them up because I have a really long torso. They're really nice. I thought they looked good, and I wore them to the concert. And then my next purchase, I've been wanting to buy something like this forever. I bought a pair of overalls from Vans. Yay! I've been wanting overalls forever. And the thing about overalls is that sometimes they don't fit well because depending on the size of how long your torso is or your legs, I had to try them on in store, and I really adored them, and so I bought them. Very pricey. I did not know overalls were that fucking expensive, but they're so worth it. I've already worn them twice, and I adore them. But they sit perfectly right where my like crotch area is, so it looks good. Everything's good. And then I did go thrifting because I've been wanting some like basic black tees and stuff. Like I said, I've been losing a lot of weight, and so a lot of my basic clothes are very oversized on me now, so I just picked up some stuff. The one thing that I did really like, I love horror t-shirts, as you can tell. I found this like Jason top, but the old lounge, or the 04 lounge, is like a Austin thing. I don't really care about that, but I did like the Jason design, so I got that. And then I think I just have some basic kind of cami tank tops. They're all very similar. I was gonna like DIY and put like grommets on some of them, tear them up, put some safety pins, really like make them my own. These are all just like basic black pieces because I mostly wear black. And the holy grail of thrifting, I've been wanting like chunky, oversized, like platform, like Oxford looking loafer shoes, but like with a heel. And I've been scouring Mercari, like, oh, I'll just buy some. They're usually around $40 to $50. I really like the Steve Madden ones, and I went to the thrift and look what I found. I was gonna buy the exact same pair off Mercari for like 40-50 bucks, and they were there for $6.99, and they're just my size. Something people don't tell you when you lose like a fuck ton of weight is that your shoe, your foot size also fucking shrinks, and that's crazy. I have a lot of like combat boots that are like a size 8.5, 9. These are, I think, an 8, and they're like slightly big on me. Not that bad. I can wear like thick socks and it'll be fine, but a lot of my shoes are kind of loose on me now, and I've been wanting something nice because I mostly wear Vans or boots. I don't have anything like prettier, and now I do. I was so gagged when I found these. But yeah, that is my non-bookish Austin haul. I spent a lot of money, I'm not gonna lie, but it was worth it. Anyways, I'll be back when I have reading updates. All right, let's do a reading update. My mom went to this place back here, which has like a bunch of, it's like a flea market. Anyways, but I have time. I'm currently 105 pages into Bluestockings. Pretty good, standard, what I'd expect. I thought it was mostly going to be about one particular woman and setting up like these salons, and it has been that, but it's every chapter is kind of touching on different women and how they've like contributed or played into this idea of like being a learned woman, which is essentially like a woman that like speaks on various subjects, everything from like politics, philosophy, art, poetry, writing, publishing works, like things that are like not supposed to be for women, whether you are lower class, middle, or higher class. Like there's some like little exceptions, like if you are like of like a higher class than someone else, but for the most part women aren't expected to learn much beyond like a basic education. Definitely not like Greek or Latin or anything like that. And if you were, it was seen as like you were neglecting your womanly duties to get married and like have kids. We've already spoken about these like salon women who are mostly like upper middle class to somehow related to like the like aristocrats kind of people. Like there's one woman who was like a duchess, and then she did like kind of patron like some of these learned women. But there was one working class woman that kind of got her way into this group of people because she wrote really well, but they still kind of looked down on her for that. They were still like, oh, you speak so well for someone like you, despite the fact that these women wanted to be more learned and have like a better education. Like they were still super like beholden to like Christianity and stuff. Like a lot of these women that are like running these salons and like wanting to like debate with men and all this kind of stuff, they're still like very Christian, and it still like dominates like their morals. That's a huge bummer. You'd think they'd be a little bit more like agnostic or just like kind of disregard it. There was one chapter about this commune that this woman wanted to set up with her bestie, and the author was like, just so you know, like these two women were like kind of thought of as lesbians. I'm not saying they are, but they're also, I'm not saying that there aren't. And I thought that was like interesting because I have heard of like women setting up house together and like sharing funds and treating each other like partners, which is nice to see. The author didn't really try to prove or disprove the fact that these women were like may or may not have been lovers. One of them did get married to a man and divorce, and the author was like, maybe it was because of her relationship with this other woman who they may or may not have been in lesbians together. Right now it's just like, here are examples of women who are trying to be a bit more like educated and like participate in these conversations that were exclusively for men. A lot of them are publishing works under like pseudonyms or having to find like a patron to like publish their works. But yeah, I like it so far. I like some of the chapters, specifically the one about like these learned women and the difference between being a learned woman, which is already being some akin to being shunned, but like being a learned woman of like a lower class and a middle class or like upper middle class. I think that was important. I don't know if we're gonna get into like discussions of race. Let's look at the chapters. So the next chapters are marriage, motherhood, friendship, love, independence, and the end of the Bluestockings. So I'm about halfway there. I am honestly thinking of like changing my magical readathon TBR because I don't know if I can finish Children of Time before the end of the month. I have like 5 days. I will think about my TBR and then come back to you. But I think I can finish this today. It's Sunday. I think I can if people stop bothering me. We're back in the bed. It is the 29th, which means I only have 2 days to read 5 books. I have many plans, but for now I have about 30 pages of this to read. I'm almost done. I've just been slacking, but I have about 30 pages of this. I will come back with my thoughts on this and then tell you about the plans for these next 2 days, because it's a lot of reading, but I think I can do it. I need to just change some things around. Remember I said I was gonna do maybe like a 24-hour readathon for myself? Starts today. Yeah, I also have plans tomorrow. My mom and I are gonna go see the new Devil Wears Prada movie, so I don't really have that much time, but I will try to cram. I think I can do it. We'll see. So it's about 2 hours later, and I did finally finish the Bluestockings. I mean, I liked it. It pretty much continued doing what it did when I talked about it in my last update. It kind of just touched on these women and how they kind of grappled with being learned, being these like Bluestocking women, and still for the most part being like fairly conservative. There's like one woman towards the end of this book on the chapter of independence who was a Republican, not modern day Republican, but like wanted to do away with like aristocracy, and she supported the like French Revolution, the American Revolution. She was English. She was the only like more like liberal leaning one, and she got a lot of shit for marrying like a 20-year-old dude when she was in her 40s. Like she got like a ton of shit. She was like my favorite if I had to choose a favorite. They talked about how these women were like learned women and how that related to motherhood, friendship, independence. I guess it was interesting to kind of see where like the foundations of like women's rights, at least in certain contexts, like began. It kind of ends with like Mary Wollstonecraft, who like really liked these women and was inspired by one particular woman, the Republican that I mentioned. So yeah, like it was good. I would give it 4 stars. Not bad. I don't know what I'm supposed to expect from like a 5-star nonfiction, but I guess I'll know it when I read it, you know? I'm gonna treat myself to a coffee and a fiber bar, and then I'll come back and talk about my plans for these next 2 days ish, 2-ish days. I forgot to mention, but I'm continuing on with The Babysitter Lives. I'm still only 40 pages into this. Hopefully I'll get this done soon. It is only like half a book because it's the double feature. I'm back and I did finish a book. I'm making really good progress, but to be fair, I was already in the middle of these, but it's about noon, same day. I have about 36 hours to finish 3 books, but I did finish The Babysitter Lives, and I'm only reading this one, not this one, just as a reminder. So this book follows our main character, Charlotte, who's babysitting some kids the day before Halloween, and a bunch of creepy stuff starts happening. That's all I can really say. It's a kind of a novella. It's like a slightly over 200 pages. It really felt like Stephen Graham Jones was really trying to like play with a lot of very popular tropes that we've seen before. The babysitter, creepy twins, haunted house with like a bad backstory. And there's another trope towards the end that's basically like the spoiler for the ending, so I won't tell you what it is, but there's a lot of tropes, and it felt like he was trying to like play with all of these and try to like cohesively put them into one story, and it kind of worked. But just for me and my taste when it comes to horror, this one, especially towards the end, just kind of felt a little too not direct enough. Like I really like a definitive, not explanation, but just like a very clear ending, and towards the end it was a little convoluted. I know what happens at the end, like I get it, but it getting there was a little like what we're going back and forth. There's a lot of things changing and it's a little confusing maybe, but I guess I did like it. I do like Stephen Graham Jones's writing, but this is probably my least favorite thing I've read from him, so I'm giving it 3 stars. It's not bad. I just don't, my taste when it comes to horror is just not this. As usual, talks on indigeneity. Our main character Charlotte is indigenous. She's also two-spirit. That comes up a little bit in the story. She's also a lesbian, so that's fun. Done with that book. So as far as my magical readathon, I've done astronomy, which is to read a book off the top shelf. That's Bluestockings, and then read a book that has the day of the week in the title. That was Monday's Not Coming. For restoration, ask for 5-star titles. I read Gideon the Knight for that. And then for demonology, read a book with a house on the cover, and that was Killer on the Road. So I have 3 more challenges. Psionics and divination, read a book with the word time in the title. Conjuration, the first enticing book you see on social media. And then lore, read a dystopia or a utopia. So I have 3 more books. Let me show you what I'm working with. This would be my TBR for the next 36 hours. This is kind of ridiculous, let's be honest. So we are editing this slightly. I think my dog needs me. I'll be right back. So for the challenge with read a book with time in the title, I was gonna read Children of Time. This isn't happening in 36 hours. Absolutely not. So we are changing this to something a bit shorter. I still think it counts, and it's a classic, and I need to read classics, or I want to read more classics. So we're gonna read, ignore this fuck ass copy, but The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I found an audiobook version on my Libby library, so we're gonna listen to it. It's like 4 hours long. I think it's narrated by Brian Cox. I think he's the actor from Succession. But this is about a man who goes to the future, like 200,000 years in the future, something crazy like that, and he meets like 2 different species of like beings. I don't think humans exist anymore, but he meets 2 different like species, and one of them I think is like this really like beautiful class of beings, but they subjugate a different underground species. I'm not sure if they actually live underground, but it's basically talking about class. So that's what we're reading. I haven't read H.G. Wells before, but I do have The War of the Worlds on my shelves as well. But this is very short. It is a novella. I could physically read it, but I'd rather just listen to it since it's being performed by a good actor. Now for lore, which is to read a utopian dystopian, I was gonna read Operation Bounce House, and if this was like an easy like narrative to digest, I might try to do this. But instead of this, I think I'm gonna look up like graphic novels and see if any of those take place in a dystopian utopian world. Is that cheating? No, because graphic novels count as books. Do I feel like I'm taking the easy road out? Yeah, I do, but I also really want to pass magical readathon. But for sure I am going to be reading The Night and the Moth, since I do actually want to read this, and I really don't want to look through social media again and find another book to read. So I think I can read this. Hopefully it like flies by quickly. Like it's one of those like easily digestible books that like you just keep reading and reading and reading. It is, how many pages? It's under 400 pages. Is that intimidating? Yes. But I have 36 hours. That was really like scattered, but I just finished the book, so I feel like I deserve a coffee and a donut. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be right back when I have an update on this. We're gonna jump right into this. So it is about 3:45, so it's been 3 hours and 45 minutes, I think, since I last updated, and I'm about 100 pages into The Night and the Moth. I did take like a little bit of breaks. It doesn't take me that long to read 100 pages, but you know, I can't sit still. I truly can't. I think that's been one of the reasons why it takes me so long to read books. Anyways, but I'm pushing through, and it's not bad at all. I was worried because a lot of people had mixed feelings on the writing. There's one thing that I will say about the writing, but I'll get to that in a second. This book follows our main character, Six, also known as Sybil, but she's known as Six, and she's a diviner, and she and her sisters are asked to divine for people. Anyone that comes with like an offering, like coin, is like, hey, like I want to know the answer to this specific question, and they divine like the answer for them. But it's a really tough process. Like one of the things that they do, or what they have to do, is essentially like drink the blood of the person asking the question, and then they have to like be drenched in this like oily water, and they have these visions, and it's supposed to be like really like physically terrible for them. It's like a body, like it's a huge strain on the body. They do that for about 10 years, and then once their tenure is up, then they can like go free. And that's what all 6 of these girls have been dreaming of for quite some time. These girls are also supposed to kind of like be like highly respected, and they are, but they also kind of want to like have their own freedom. Like they live in a cathedral, and they escape the cathedral and like go out and like drink and party and all this kinds of fun stuff. And then one day the king comes with like his group of knights and wants to know if the people will respect him, because he's a new king. I think he's like 17, and so our main character, Six, or Sybil, is chosen to like divine for him. The omens are not good. Like he has like 5 bad omens, and it's not looking good for him. But after that, some time passes, not that long, but some time passes, and each of the girls except for 6 start going missing. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 go missing, and the abbess, the woman who's like in charge of the diviners, doesn't seem to care, or she's kind of downplaying it. So I think she's definitely like a shadowy figure, that she's not being honest and truthful. She's like, oh, they're probably just like ran away. And so it's just 6, and she's like, no, like I have to go find my sisters. Like I promised them that I'd get them. So her and this gargoyle are gonna go on an adventure. However, they're going with one of the knights that the king brought with him, and he is like kind of an asshole. It's definitely like an, maybe not enemies to lovers, but like annoyances to lovers situation I'm feeling. But this knight named Rory, and then this gargoyle are gonna go, I'm assuming they're gonna go find the other girls, the other diviners. And that's kind of where I'm at so far. That's pretty much like the setup. It's been like 100 pages. I think I'm now getting into like the meat and bones of like the story of like trying to find out what happened to these girls. And there's, you know, we're on the adventure now. So far so good. One thing about the writing that maybe isn't bad, like I'm not disliking it, I don't think it's horrible, but one thing this author does that is so easily like you can catch on to it, is that she does this thing where she like has a paragraph of like very like descriptive things, and it feels very like wordy, not in a bad way, but just like it's very descriptive, and it's like description, and then like a simple sentence. I found some examples, and they happen like in succession. This particular page, it's 13 in my book. You'll see what I mean. Silent they came from the shadows of the transepts, 6 more gargoyles. They marched until they positioned themselves around the spring like hour markers on a sundial. The cathedral doors opened. The king's knights came into the narthex. They were hushed now, as if Aisling Cathedral had sucked the words from their mouths. Helmets removed, their heads lifted as they took in the artistry of the cathedral, its fine marble floors, its carved reliefs and vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows. The bell stopped ringing. Behind his knights came King Castor, walking side by side with the abbess, with his glimmering armor and her pale robes, her shroud like a veil. They might have been bride and bridegroom, taking the long walk down the nave to say their vows upon the channel. The difference was, a bride does not hold a knife. You see what I mean? It's like the da 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 da, simple sentence. The da 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 da, simple sentence, simple sentence. It's not as musical as you think it would be. Like there's a pattern to it. It's just not like, it's weird. It's like after a while it gets not great to read, if that makes sense, but it's not like horrible. But it's something that I easily picked up, and I'm not even like a big stickler for like writing style and things like that. I'm interested to see like what else is happening in this world, because our main characters have kind of been like locked up in this cathedral for most of their lives since they've been diviners, and they really don't understand the outside world, despite the fact that many of the people in this country of Trom, I think it's called, they like worship these women, not worship, but like they hold them in high regard, and these girls know nothing about the outside world. Yeah, that's my update so far. Doing pretty well. I did actually find a graphic novel that I could read for lore, which is to read something that's a dystopian or utopian. I think I'm going to read Bitch Planet. I forgot who wrote it, but it's about women who get sent to a planet and they like fight or something. I'll get to eventually, but I have one audiobook and then the graphic novel to read after this, and I'm making good progress, so I might actually complete this, which is, I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked. Let's do a quick update before I go to bed. I took a shower and I forgot to take off my makeup, so please let's not start. It's like 11:45. I did get a lot of reading done today, so I'm actually really happy because I finished 2 books, and then I did start The Night and the Moth, and I got to 175, which is like almost halfway through, which is not bad considering I had started 2 books. I had to like finish 2 books before that, so I think I can finish. I did also start to read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I'll give you more of my thoughts on these books in another clip, but I'm about to go to bed. And Bitch Planet, I'm about to like start it right now. I'm gonna see if I can get a few pages in before I crash, because I did not get a lot of sleep last night. I think I want to sleep at like 1, and then I woke up at like 4:30, so I have like 3.5 hours of sleep in me, and I didn't get any sleep because I wanted to read. So I'm gonna start Bitch Planet right now, get a few pages in. I think I got like an hour and 20 into the audiobook for The Time Machine, and it's only a 4-hour audiobook. I think maybe I can finish The Night and the Moth in 3 hours. So I'm hoping to wake up at around 10 at the latest, which for all I know I could wake up at 4:30 again. But if I wake up at 10, hopefully I can start reading at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, because I'm gonna go to the mall. Well, I'm going to the theater with my mother, but we're gonna have lunch at the mall first and then walk to the theater. I will talk to you in the morning with thoughts. I'm not going to give my thoughts right now. Let's do a reading update. It is currently 8:34 in the morning. It's the last day of the month, and we have 3 books to finish. I think it's super possible, actually, because the only actual like long form book I need to finish is The Night and the Moth, and like I said, I'm 175 pages in. I do have some thoughts about this. The first 100 pages I thought started off well, like with the premise and everything, but we've gotten to a point in the plot that I'm not interested in, but it's not what I thought it was going to be, so maybe that's on me. But we've gone to a point in the plot where we have this established world and like gods and the magic and blah blah blah. We've gotten to a point in the story where that's all being called into question, and I like 99% of the time love that kind of plot point. Like I love when there's like a history to a world or a magic system or whatever, and everyone assumes that it's one way because that's what they've been taught, and then there's something that's not 100% correct, like it's not what it was, and I like that. But for some reason here it's just kind of like meh, you know what I mean? Like especially when I don't want to spoil anything, but when I was first introduced to this world, I was like, oh, that's really cool, that's really interesting, I like some aspects of this like world building. And then once we're getting to that point in the story where we're kind of like tearing it back and seeing like what this world really is, I'm like, oh, I'm no longer really like interested in this world. Like you kind of made it less fun. Does that make sense? We'll see how the story goes. The plot is moving forward and I'm not like super enthused about it anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it was fun, but now it's not as fun. Maybe it'll get better. It's not bad. I can't see this getting lower than like 3 stars unless I'm really like not having fun, and then I will push it down to 2.5. But so far it's fine. I give it like a 3.5 because I did like the beginning. I thought it was like a decent start, and there is like nice witty banter between our main character Sybil and the one knight who's kind of an asshole, Rory. Some of the banter is a little too like forward. Like, good banter to me is not so explicitly like there's not like a good like opening. So like, for example, at some point she's like, I liked it better when I threw you on your back or something, and he obviously like has like a sex joke response, but that's like too easy, you know what I mean? Like, that's too easy of a banter for me. Sometimes like I just need it to be like witty and like unconventionally funny, or like unconventionally like, oh, that's like a good quippy response that I didn't expect, you know, that kind of thing. But I'm just picky about banter because I have 5 Gemini placements, very important Gemini placements. So verbal communication, super important to me. So that's the update. I think I can finish this book in like 3 hours. I have essentially, I said I was at 175. I have 200 pages left ish. So I think I can finish this. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. This one was fine. It started off well. I said before I had liked that early. Did I talk about it? I don't remember. Anyways, I'm gonna assume like I haven't talked to you about The Time Machine. So The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I'm listening to the audiobook. It's only 4 hours long. The first chapter really lends itself well to an audiobook because we are seeing the story from an unnamed man. I forgot what his profession is, but he is meeting the time traveler in the first chapter, and the time traveler has brought in a couple of men who are like scientists, like psychologists, physicists, doctors, whatever. And he brings these group of men to his like study, whatever, and is telling them about the fourth dimension. This is all in the first chapter, and his theories regarding the fourth dimension and what that dimension is. And it's a very, hold on, the radio turned on. And it's a really like thought-provoking conversation about physics or theoretical physics. So if you're really into physics, like this, at least the first chapter, I thought was like super interesting. Like, it's just a bunch of like learned men going back and forth about ideas of like physics. Like, it's literally just a physics conversation. So if you like physics, like that first chapter, pretty good. And then he's talking to these men about the possibility of time travel, and everyone's like, what? And he is explaining his theories, and then he brings out like essentially like a mini example of a time travel machine. And he brings out, it's not supposed to be very big, it's just like a little box, and he's like, I've made a like an example of like a time traveling machine, and he like uses it in front of them and it disappears from existence, and he's like, it's traveling through time right now. That's essentially like the first chapter, but it's really like it lends itself well because it's just a bunch of men conversing about physics and like theory and stuff like that. So it lends itself well to an audiobook. I don't want to go much more into it because it's like 4 hours long. It's like not a long story. Like I said before, the whole premise is that this man time travels to like 200,000 years into the future, and he comes back and is telling everyone his like perspective. Definitely think I can finish this while I do like chores and stuff around the house. Like I said before, I'm going to go to the movies with my mom, and while I get dressed, it's going to take me like 30-45 minutes. I can probably listen to a good chunk of that audiobook as well. I did not get to start Bitch Planet last night. I was literally just too tired. I like scrolled on my phone for 5 minutes and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go to bed. But I think I can get through that pretty quickly. It's one graphic novel volume. It shouldn't be too long. It's a graphic novel. I will be back when I have anything to say about this one. This is going to be my priority for the morning. And once I'm finished with this, then the rest of the day is smooth sailing, finishing a graphic novel and an audiobook. So, peace. So I finished The Night in the Moth. It was fine. This book was like really hyped up and was in people's like top 10 of the year, but it was just fine. Like I said before, the problem that I had earlier with it just being so dull, I don't want to spoil anything, but when our author reveals, or when the author is slowly letting us know that the world that has been set up is not the way it actually is, and our characters are going to slowly find that out, that I usually really enjoy. But in this case, it just got dull. Like, the story just got dull, and our main characters are going on a journey, and the journey's not like wrong, but it kind of just flows so quickly. This book could have been a duology. I mean, I think it is going to be a duology, but this particular book could have been stretched out into a duology, because I know what I think is going to happen in the second book, and I'm not super enthused. It's just not as exciting in it. It has become kind of like generic in some parts. Like, the journey that these characters go on, the like quest, each part of the quest that they have to complete came not easily because people struggled and people got hurt, but I knew that they were going to complete it. I knew that everything was going to be fine, and I didn't really feel that tenseness, you know what I mean? Everything was fine. I don't know, maybe I'm just not the audience for this one, because a lot of people really enjoyed this one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give this one like 3 stars. Not bad. I think there's more good in this than not, but I'm just like, so just like that was fine. Like, I'm just so not super impressed. I think the only thing that really like was excelled is the romance. I think Rachel Gillig like knows how to like put characters together and like create that like yearning, and some of the romantic moments were like nice, I guess, but the entire adventure of the story was just so like unexciting for me. I really didn't care for how the author is changing this world into the truth, right? We're figuring out the truth of this world. It just kind of got dull. I thought it was really cool and interesting and fantastic at the beginning, and when we're told like, oh, the things that you thought you knew, that's not the truth, this is the truth, but the truth is boring. You're boring. I don't know if I could read the second book whenever it comes out, but I don't think I'm gonna buy it brand new like I did here. I might just borrow it from the library when it's available. It's about 2:36, so I am probably gonna go to the theater soon, but before I do, I'm probably gonna start getting ready at 3, but I'm probably gonna sit down here in the same couch I've been sitting in all morning and read Bitch Planet, and then like update you on my thoughts about that one. But 2 books to go. Super quick update, but it's 10 o'clock and I did finish The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I'm gonna give it like a 3.5. I'll talk about it later, but I'm gonna take a quick shower because I'm a mess. Finished watching the movie obviously because I'm back home. Really enjoyed it. We'll talk about that later. But after I take a shower, I'm gonna like not speed because it's just a graphic novel, but I'm gonna take a shower and then finish up Bitch Planet Volume 1. I did start reading it earlier today while I was having lunch with my mother, and I got like 30% of the way in fairly quickly. Again, it's a graphic novel, but I will finish it tonight, and then tomorrow morning I will my next update, I will wrap up everything I've read, some final thoughts about any of the books that I've read, and then wrap up the vlog, and we're done with Magical Readathon. Okay, so it is time to wrap up this vlog. I'm so excited, but first, before we do that, I need to talk about the last 2 books I read. I still have some thoughts on The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I hate this copy. This is going straight to the Goodwill once I'm done. I'm so glad that I had the audiobook to listen to, which was narrated fantastically, by the way. I'm gonna put this down because it's ruining the coloring. I really like this. I can totally see why this has kind of stood the test of time. This is such a good short novella story to kind of discuss amongst like a class or like a book club or amongst yourself, like just like on your own. It has a lot of discussions on maybe the purpose of humanity, of society, the structure of society. I still think about that first chapter. I think it was such a good hook, where you have the time traveler like talking about physics like theoretically with like a group of like academic men. The way that he talks about his experience like meeting this like species of humans in the far future, like a descendant of humans in the far future, is so interesting, and his opinions on the species change as he like spends more time with them. I still like vividly think about that part of the book where he's talking about how he realizes that these future descendants of humans aren't very smart, or they're not very like wondrous, like they don't strive to know more or have some sort of evolution because they have like no strife in their lives. I found that interesting. And on top of that, it's also like a story that has like a lot of like adventure, like the concept of like a person going 800,000 years into the future and like seeing what Earth would be like. I feel like the people who have been would have been reading this at the time would have been like, whoa, that's crazy. And you know, I feel that way too. I would love to physically reread this and like annotate it at some point. Not this copy, because this copy sucks, but I think this is something that you could easily go back to. I was looking at what other people were saying about this on like Goodreads or Reddit, and someone was like, oh, I reread this like all the time, like once a year, and I can totally see why that is. So I really enjoyed it. I originally gave it 3.5 stars. I think I'm gonna stick with that. It might be something that grows over time when I put like more thought into what this author is saying about like humans and evolution and things like that. I do want to talk about the last thing that I read, which was Bitch Planet Volume 1. The author, the writer, and the artist's name is escaping me, but this was such a very like gripping, very like eye-catching story. This is a dystopian that takes place in this weird version of like Earth, and it feels super modern. It doesn't feel too far off from us, or like the society doesn't feel too different. We follow a group of women who are thought of as like I forgot what the word was, but basically women who are not like conforming in some way. And a lot of these women, they've done like actual crimes like murder and stuff, but a lot of them are just like women who like aren't what you expect women to be, and they get sent to a prison essentially that's off planet, and they call it Bitch Planet. There's like an actual like proper name for it, but everyone calls it Bitch Planet, and they're in prison. And it has a very similar plot to like The Longest Yard, that football movie with like prison football teams, that kind of thing. And I really like the like wit of this, and it's also kind of like gritty at the same time, and the art style is like super like pop art. I'll see if I can throw on some images that are appropriate, because there's a lot of like nudity and stuff, but the characters are so diverse, but also like very like vivid and so realized in such a short amount of time. I think the point that the writer is really trying to like hammer home is the way that people who are like in the prison system are taken advantage of. I haven't read Chain Gang All Stars, but I feel like the premise might be similar, or at least have similar like themes to it. There's a little bit of jumping around with some of these characters. There's one particular character who she's in prison, but we kind of follow her backstory in the first volume, and I really love that. I really like seeing like where people come from. I think the story is also kind of touching on like the capitalism of it all. I assume that everyone knows what The Longest Yard is, but it's basically like a prison story. A group of inmates are like put together for a football team for like entertainment and stuff, and that's kind of similar to this, where we have a group of women who are put onto like a team for entertainment purposes, for ratings for some channel. Most of these women assume that they're not actually going to benefit from like winning the game. It's very much touching on misogyny, capitalism, and how we get like desensitized to like the harming of other people, or how we really don't see people, specifically people who are incarcerated, as like actual human beings. I don't want to go too much into it because it's just like a single volume of a graphic novel, but it's really good, and I can totally see why this one was so popular upon release. It's been out for a while. I would love to have like a physical copy. I probably should have bought one when I was in Austin, but I think it's only like 3 volumes in total, so I guess the story will wrap up quickly. But I love the art style. You should totally check it out. A lot of nudity though, so that kind of makes you uncomfortable. I don't think it's like gratuitous. It's a prison, so like these women have to be like stripped down, stuff like that. And the story kind of ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm really interested to see like where it goes from here, so I might just like pick up the next volume soon. I think I might have some like Pango money, and maybe I'll just like buy physical copies on Pango if anyone's selling them. But I actually really like this one, and I do want to have like a proper like graphic novel collection of graphic novels that I really enjoyed. I really like this one. I think I'm giving it like 4 stars. Really cool. I'm interested to see what else this writer has written, as well as the artist. I want to see what their artwork is like elsewhere. So I've officially wrapped up everything for the magical readathon. As a reminder, here's what I read. For the challenge of reading something off the top of my TBR or the top of my shelf, I read Bluestockings, History of the First Women's Movement by Susannah Gibson. For the challenge of picking a 5-star off of someone's 5-star recommended, whatever that challenge was, Gideon the Ninth. Really love this one. For the challenge of reading a book with a house on the cover, I only read The Babysitter Lives. For the challenge of reading something on social media, like the first thing that jumps out at you on social media, Nine the Moth, kind of mid. And of course, to read a book with time in the title. And then for the challenge of reading dystopian, I read Bitch Planet. I think I did pretty well, considering I was not moving forward with my TBR for the majority of the month because I started this late. I went on vacation. I only really had a couple days to finish my TBR, but I think I did good. I did have to make some substitutions. It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's supposed to be fun, and I had fun reading these books, even if I didn't love all of them. Anyways, but I'm really excited for like the second half of this magical readathon, which is usually in what, September or August. It's been a while since I participated like fully, so I'm really eager. I can't wait for that to happen. Oh, I was going for, what's it called, God Seer, whatever it's called. That was my career. Watch me have like chosen the wrong challenges and I just fucked up the entire magical readathon. That'd be so sad. But that was my career, was God Seer. Let me know about your experience with the magical readathon. What was your calling? Like, what classes did you take, or what books did you read? Did you have trouble with any of like the challenges? I also forgot to say that I read Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. That completely slipped my mind. I'd like to hear anything you have to say in the comments down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. If you don't know what to say, just leave an emoji. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.